In this clip, we're going to walk through an example of creating a SQL query to summarize a value amount, as well as join in other tables to pull in their descriptive fields. So let's take a look at this database diagram to kind of visualize what we're doing. So we have our sales data. So we want to pull in our total sum of quantity, as well as bring in our product name and price, as well as our customer information. So we're going to be basing our query off this sales table, and then we're going to be creating joins to the product based off the product ID, and as well as the customers based off the customer ID. So to do this, what I typically would start out with is just pulling in the top 10 records of the sales, just to kind of visualize that data. So I'm going to say select from, and this is where you'll put your table name. So I'm going to first off enter the database, .dbo, and then table name, so sales. From here I can put a top 10 just to kind of get a sample data. So as you can see here, we have our sample data. So like we've said before, we're going to be joining in the customer table as well as the product table. So first things first here, what we can do is, since we're going to be using multiple tables, we can create an alias so we can reference this easier. So now if we I'm going to use this alias as S. So anytime we want the sales, this table, we can just refer to it as S. So now if I come up to the top, I can plug in s.customer_ID. I'll do a comma here, and then we'll pull in the product ID. Now we'll pull in the dates. And what we want to do is we want to group this data. So we're going to be summarizing this data, so we're just going to summarize it at the month level. So what I'll do here is I'll put in a built-in SQL function for year, and then we'll rename this as year. We'll do this one more time for the month. We now want to join our customers table to be able to pull in our customer name. So to do that, we'll use a left join, and then once again we'll put in our database name, so sales demo.dbo.customers, and we'll create another alias for this as C. So anytime we want to reference the customers table, we'll just use C, and then we'll say we're now creating our relationship from sales to customers. So what we're doing is we're saying the sales customer ID equals the customer's customer ID. So to do that, we'll come over here and we'll say we're joining the customers table on the sales.customer ID, where that equals the customer's customer ID. So now what we can do is pull in our descriptive data from our customers. So we'll go back up to our query, and we'll pull in our customer name. So as you can see here, within our customers table, we don't have a full name field. So what we're going to do is we're going to concatenate the first name and the last name as one field. So to do this, we'll just first off select our first name, and then to add two text fields together within SQL, we'll use the plus sign, and then to insert text, we'll use apostrophe. So I'm just going to put a space here. So it'll be customer first name space customer last name. So another plus sign to add our additional field, and then c.last name. We can now rename this field. So we'll call it customer name. What we'll now want to do is join our product table. So left join database name .dbo.products. We'll create an alias for this as P, and then on. So once again, with this products table, let's go back to this. Let's flip over to the database diagram here. So what we're doing is we're creating a relationship from our sales to our products. So our sales product ID equals our products product ID. So we'll flip back over here and now say we're joining the products table onto the sales table based off s.productID equals p.productID. From here now we can pull in our products information. So I'm going to go back up here and we'll pull in p.name and p.price. Alright, so now we have a nice little query where we're pulling in our customer name, product name, product price, year and month. So we also want to now pull in our total units. So that's actually pulling from the sales table as well, sales quantity. And we want to summarize this. So we're going to put in sum, and we'll rename this as quantity. Now that we have aggregate functions built in, we now need to group this data. So I want to group it based off all of these guys up here. So I'm just going to copy this, come down here, group by, and paste that in. Within your group bys, you do not need aliases, so we'll remove the alias names here. And then lastly, we just need to put in our parameter for this 2009 year. So to do that, we can just grab our year, and then after your from and group by, you're going to plug in your where. So now we'll say where the year equals 2009. So now I'll just remove the top 10, pull in the full detail for this data. Now as you can see below, we have our customer ID, our customer name, our product ID, our product name, our product price, the sales year, the sales month, and the total sum of quantities sold within that time frame. This is a quick example of a SQL group by query. I hope this helps.